Now we're going to take a look at a few of the things people are talking about, tweeting about, Instagramming, Facebooking, Googling. What is new and interesting today? And back with us are Alain Sanders and, of course, Dr. Bart Rossi and Dave Goodman. Okay, Lindsey Graham took a little, I guess he took a little piece of Donald Trump to fight back against Donald Trump by smashing his cell phone to smithereens. What do you think of that?
I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought,
it was funny.
I thought A, it was funny. B, it was political smart. Take it as a joke to keep treating Donald Trump as a joke, and have fun with it, run with it.
Yeah, you can see on the video, I mean, he's a meat cleaver in a blender, and he smashes it and he lights it on fire.
Yeah, well, two reactions to it. First of all, you wouldn't think of Lindsey Graham as a YouTube personality.
No.
So good for him for doing it. But the other aspect, of course, is that it serves to give more credence to Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is in the background even if he's not in the video. So, I mean, because that's what he's reacting to.
That's true.
But it's almost like a Trumpism, because he's got attention to himself now.
That's what I'm saying. It's like he took a page from Donald's book there.
He did. He did. He brought some attention to himself in a crowded field. So, in a way, it kind of worked.
Reminded me of an old David Letterman
Trump to
show.
out-Trump. I think it's politically very good.
Well, you know what? We're talking a lot about Donald Trump. Can we move on to our Trump Your Cat video? People have started this hashtag Trump Your Cat, and they are taking their little furry friends and either adjusting the animal's hair, or they are cutting and pasting and creating little Donald Trump memes. Aren't they adorable?
They are. It continues the circus parade. I mean, you've got Trump as the lead clown, and then you have the parade right behind him.
I bet he likes this. I bet he figures, you know what, the more I'm seen, even in animal form, the better.
Yeah, well, I just hope it doesn't result in Society for Cruelty to Animals saying,
well, he's so egotistical, he's got to love it.
Exactly.
He's got to love every minute of it.
I don't know if it's cruelty to animals or cruelty to hairstylists. But
well, the animals don't vote, so it's
no, they don't. Okay, on a more serious note, Uber. Uber is running into all kinds of problems. Now, you can kind of like book your own cab through Uber, and it's all over the world. It's become huge, but community after community is starting to look at it and say, you're not complying with local regulations, and they're banning it. What's the deal with this? Is Uber a plus or a minus? Should we be making them follow the regulations of the communities they serve?
Well, you know, a competition is supposedly great, but in this case, when there is competition, the other side tries to fight it. You know, so I'm kind of with Uber on this one. I think that if they want to employ people and they can do a good job for less money and make it effective, I think it works. But on the other side, what about the taxi drivers? What about all the other folks who are working already and they may lose their jobs? So, you know, it's a political issue, really.
Well, it's a political issue, but I think the issue is, I agree with you on entrepreneurship. I think that's fine. But there are some regulations that need to be put into effect. I mean, driving a taxi is a question, there's a question of safety there. And so I think it's a matter of regulations. It's a matter of the government's catching up with the regulatory scheme. And then after that, I think it's a matter of competition.
Well, I have to throw in the big money issue, because you'd expect me to say that, and in fact it's true. I mean, years ago, it used to be, what, $100,000 for a taxi medallion? I'm told it could run $1 million now. So, I mean, come on, that's a major capital investment. So you have to factor that into the concern about this.
Yeah, and I was just looking into that. They're based in San Francisco, more than 250 cities now, and they're valued at about $40 billion. Wow, that's huge. And when we talk about, you know, communities outlawing it in New York City, DeBlasio is one of the people who's saying we need to take a second look
that's a good example of the politics, though. I mean, DeBlasio has support from the taxi folks, so he's on the fence. He's got to support them. So it really becomes a political issue. But I like what we're saying here about some of the regulations too. On the other side of it is, what about the driver? I mean, do we have a test for the driver? Do we know the driver's competent? Do we know that the vehicle is okay? So, you know, there's a lot of issues yet to be sorted out on this whole thing.
And that's the real issue, the safety concerns about the driver and the vehicle. Yeah. And I think that's really where it should.
This kind of makes me feel too like it's a difficult transition that we're making. Like any kind of change from the way it was to the way it may be becoming is so painful and brings up all these kinds of issues, but maybe Uber is going to be the one left at the end of all of it.
Could be.
I mean, maybe the taxi companies, as they've been operating, are going to have to adapt to what Uber's doing.
Well, that's true. And some folks say, you know, we always like less government. But then when there's less government, then we worry about the safety and who's driving and are the vehicles okay. You know, so it's really quite an issue.
Yeah, you've got another model that's changing the hotel business, which is this Airbnb business, where people rent houses and don't have to deal with the hospitality industry. So I think that's going to revolutionize that as well. I'm very much in favor of entrepreneurship in terms of being able to shake up models that need to be relooked at. But I do think some of the big money issues that we're talking about also come into play.
Well, the last thing we wanted to throw out here was Nicki Minaj, a little bit of celebrity information. She had tweeted something recently in response to what she felt was kind of a snub in a music awards thing, and she says, black women regularly influence pop culture but are rarely rewarded for it. And she said something about slim women being more readily recognized. A whole brouhaha with Taylor Swift blew up in everybody's face. They've resolved it, she reassures us, but what do you think about her comments?
I think it's over the top. I don't think she needs to say that. But again, she brought some attention to herself. I think that the industry's pretty fair. I mean, people who deserve some of these awards really get it. I don't think there's any real overwhelming bias or prejudice. I think she's just having her day in the sun, making some fun here.
Well, and I'm just looking, I had looked up some information. No women of color won awards at the 2015 Billboard Music Awards. Beyoncé was the only singer who collected any wins at the American Music Awards. And in this year's Grammys, it's all whites. No women of color won in the 4 most important categories. So it feels on the surface like maybe there's something more insidious going on underneath.
Well, it could be, it couldn't be. I would say something to watch. I don't think it's something to get terribly excited about yet, but it's something to watch. I think, however, it does further her career and makes her news. And many of these showbiz people are all about making news. And
well, we're just glad that she and Taylor Swift made up. That makes me happy. We're hoping that your week ahead is going to be a great one. Thank you all very much for being here, and you as well. We'll catch you next time right here on Fresh Outlook.